Hello guys, it's Peter from PS Sound, and today I have this monster with me, and we have to resolve many issues. And I thought to take a video because you really have to see this, what happened in this build, and why I always emphasize why install is crucial. Many people know who this car belongs to and who built it. However, after this car was built, we both feel with the owner that this car was actually not built by the installer. He might have had a busy period and he might have called in different people to build it, because he had previous cars built by the installer and you know, the quality was top notch, whereas this has many issues, like schoolboy errors, which is even more annoying. Where should I start the list? What we have to resolve here now? So up front everything is OEM. You can't see anything. All the speakers are mounted behind factory locations, and in the boot we have something a bit more funky looking. So the list starts with, let's start with the boot. What issues we have here? There's a 4-channel Moscone here, then there's another big 2-channel here, and the monoblock. I assume that this is running mids and tweeters, that's running mid bass, and then the monoblock is running these two old school Phoenix Gold subs. These are super rare now, beautiful subs. Used to be one of my favorite too back in the day, and in pristine state. So one of the issues is that the monoblock overheats and it goes to protection, even on normal listening level, even when it's not cranked full tilt. There's a gap left here where the heat can come out. However, 80% of the amplifier is tucked underneath the sub enclosure, and yeah, there's no ventilation, no circulation of air, and I think that's just a simple reason why it's happening. There's no fans installed anywhere. So we have to have a look at that. Also, the wiring for the amps get a bit warm, so we have to check out why that's happening. You know, bad termination of cables, bad connection. We will see. Then the car has a awful whine noise, alternator whine noise, which is like when I mentioned, you know, schoolboy error. That's the very first thing you try with the setup. Once you turn it on with the engine on, you rev the car, and if you can hear that revving noise coming through the speakers, you can tell, you know, it shouldn't be there. So we have to check out earth points. We may also have to check out how the head unit was powered at the front, because sometimes it can also happen when you have different earth points in between the amps and the head unit. I can assume that the head unit was, you know, powered from the factory loom, so we may have to run power from the back. I always advise with any big system to run power for the head unit up front from the same distribution points as where your amps are getting the power from. Yes, it's a bit of a hassle. You have to run, you know, a pair of wires to the front, but when, you know, you build a system, the whole car is stripped out anyway. So you run the RCAs in, the remote line in, so it doesn't take any longer to run a power cables in for the head unit as well, and then you would have a very low chance of getting that alternator wind. Then next issue, the controller for the Moscone processor up front, which is in the sunglass compartment up on the top of the roof, that just falls out, which is, yeah, no words. It's just funny. And the list just goes on. Like, you know, the system loses one side of the stereo. Left hand side speakers disappear at random times. That's earlier on, at another time, I figured out that it was the RCA coming out of the head unit that wasn't done properly, because the system runs on custom RCAs, and you know, the RCA plug termination was wrong. So we have to check all the RCAs in the system, as well as here in the back, because that may even cause interference and cause some of the alternator whine noise too. So To be fair, yeah, there are another few items on the list. Something that we can't do anything with at the moment. I mean, that's not a system fault issue, that's something different but very annoying for the client, that when he asked the installer to build the boot, his only requirement was that the sub enclosure should leave enough clearance from the back of the tailgate so he could put one of his big flight cases in. And he even left the flight case there with the installer so they could double check whether it fits or not. Well, now it's short of probably 1.5 inch. But you don't want to rebuild an enclosure now once it's done, especially a custom made one. That takes, yeah, a few days. So yeah, we will jump on all these issues today and sort this out, and we will see how far we get. Oh yeah, and not to mention that this car was built for a master level, so the car was supposed to compete at Eurofinal levels, which means that everything needs documentation. Everything has to be proven, how speakers are mounted to show the craftsmanship, you know, show cables, how they run in the car, how they are secured. And we could see from some of the pictures that speakers were not mounted as they should be. And it's just funny because if someone knows exactly, you know, what the system is prepared for the highest level of competition, then even they could see that, hang on a second, we didn't mount those speakers with machine bolts and threaded nuts. Then why did they take a picture of it showing that, hang on, we just made it wrong? You know what I mean? You don't want to highlight that you fucked something up, then you want to hide it. So those people who might have built it were not even familiar with the rules. That's why we think that the car wasn't built by the installer, because he built another car for master level before and everything was absolutely fine. And the owner would also, you know, want some sort of response why it all happens. Very, very annoying. Alright, let's start it step by step. I don't know whether I take videos throughout. I may show details what's underneath the panel and whatnot, and at the end, yeah, I may talk about what the issues were and how we sorted them out. So as we go along, more and more things become clear. So this panel is on hinges, can tip up so you can get to the spare wheel that I'll show in a second. But in the corner where the rack, when it sits down, it sits on the earth cable of the battery. Let's tip it up. So that little feet ends up on the cable, sitting on the cable, and it's actually, yeah, it's compressed down. It could have been routed. Well, we will have to solve that because that rack cannot sit on that. That's the factory battery, as you see over there, and at least this way you can still get to the spare wheel. Oh, good fun. And the most annoying thing is that this amp rack, as it is not secured anywhere. Let's put it back down. It slides in the car. Craftsmanship, right? Fucking beautiful. It should be taken out and binned right now, but it's a fucking nightmare. That's how you charge people crazy money. Alright, so now we try to figure out how to keep this amp, this monoblock, cool. At the moment, that panel only has a few millimeters of clearance, so what I'm planning to do to chop that off, leave enough clearance so we can raise the amp, because at the moment that amp sits on carpet, And yes, it has little holes each corner so the air can circulate in and out of the amp, but I suspect there should be more space for the air to escape at the bottom of the amp. So once we raise it up, put it on shock mount, raise it up 1/2 inch, then the air can escape underneath as well. But we try to put in fans to push the air at least in a direction, so when the top cover is not on all this, at least we have those 2 inches here where the air can come out. But when the cover is on, then you still have a completely sealed space in there, and you just circulate the air inside. So this hose here, there's a gap there, so I may try to push the air to come out, make holes on the side. Yeah, not on that side, but at least one side we could pull the air out. We will see. I've made a cable now for the head unit, so this is going to run to the head unit and will be inline crimped to the factory loom of the head unit. And then at the back you get these beautifully terminated wires, obviously red running to the positive fuse holder, and that's going to go to the ground. A new fuse holder here for the head unit. There's enough output on the ground, running all the way to the front. Yeah, it takes a while to, you know, do a cable properly, but on a level of an install like this, it's pretty standard, I think. Next thing I found, and that's probably one of the main reasons why the system was picking up alternator wind and all sorts of system noises. It's basics that you don't run signal cables parallel with power cables. So either you want to separate power from signal. In the rack, it's a very easy to see the layout. That side is power, this side is signal. And I could see the input signal coming from the head unit, running all the way with the remote line out there. So I assumed it was running down on that side of the car, what it should be like. No. In the inside of the rack, it went across and was running down that side. That I figured out now. So is that one. When I was trying to feed the new power line for the head unit in, and then I found the RCAs on this side as well, and that's where the main power line runs and the whole main loom of the car on this side. Yes, you can use the best quality RCA cables, signal cables, but still, why would you do this when you can run it on the other side? They must have had a reason, but I don't know, because they had to run cables on the other side anyway. All the trim panels were out. They had to run speaker cables, the cable for the DRC of the Moscone processor. So I have to pull this out now, which is probably cable tied all the way along. It's gonna be a proper pain in the ass. Run it back, run it on the other side. Hopefully it's long enough to run it on the other side. Well, it should be. Yeah, I knew that I wasn't looking forward to this job. What else is coming? Crazy. So a few of the things are sorted. The alternator wind that we had is now gone. We rerouted the RCA to the left hand side. All the power cables run on the right hand side. The head unit is powered from the back from here, and alternator wind is gone. No issue whatsoever. We still have to sort out circulation of air inside of this rack. You can see those huge fans over there. We will do something with that tomorrow. Blow the air down into the spare wheel well, and then get fans here on the side to blow the air out. Hopefully that will help. And we've had another issue in the setup that was very annoying, and as the owner wants to compete with this car in the future, yeah, he couldn't do so with these issues. What we've had basically, the system had an interesting, very high pitch system noise, especially on higher listening levels, or when they have a technical track with no information on the track, but they turn the volume up to full, and then they check whether there's any system noise being introduced with maximum volume. And yeah, it was like a very high pitch noise at like 8 and 16k, and we didn't know what that was, so we tested different RCA cables from the front to the back, RCA cables from the processor to the amplifiers, and it was always there whatever we've done. We even plugged different sources into the Moscone directly, like your phone, a DAP, a laptop, and they did the same. And then the other big issue was, and I have to show it because otherwise I can't explain it, we didn't know whether it was the head unit or the processor. Basically, when you have the first few technical tracks, when it says, well, it should have said left, it didn't say it. I was going to say right. It doesn't say it at all, and you need that first bit because that determines the position where it should be. Like, let's see whether it says. It doesn't even say center. It misses the first few seconds. You could just hear the end of left, the word left. No. It doesn't say it. And we didn't know whether it was the head unit cutting that first bit off or the processor. And fortunately I had a Helix DSP Pro with me on stock at home, so we pulled it out, rewired it, 5 minutes on the laptop, which is pretty quick for me because I know the products in and out, and all the issues were gone. It plays everything fine, there's no system noise whatsoever. And on top of that, it took me 5 minutes to make the system sound, not just a little bit better, to sound better, but even the client was like, hang on a second, don't do this with me. Just don't make the setup sound this good within that short time. Because I could say, it sounded like day and night, which would be a bit, yeah. But definitely you could tell the system was sounding so much better with the DSP Pro Mark II than this Moscone processor, which is annoying because now we know that the product has issues, and it doesn't mean that now people may think that Moscone is bad. It's not bad at all. It's just this given model we have has slight issues. I mean, probably other customers who don't compete, if you just play hits, it plays the tracks well. David probably not noticed these issues. They wouldn't notice the system noise. Yeah, well, now that the DSP issue has to be sorted, at least now we know. But it's very annoying that we had to spend like 3-4 hours pulling cables in and out, testing different things, measuring everything. It was very annoying and tiring, but now at least we are going forward and we know what's going on, which is great. So yeah, we have the fans for tomorrow. Then we have to rewire the LEDs because they were running permanently. I think I haven't even mentioned that at the beginning. Yeah, the LED lights in the back were wired on permanently when the system came on. So if the trim panel wasn't on the boot to cover the amps, the lights were shining the whole boot, and yeah, you can't drive like that. It's very annoying, and I think the police would even pull you out. So we have to rewire that. Yeah, plus we may have to retune the car a bit, but it's not really worth if we don't know what's going to happen with the DSP. So yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow. Okay, so we also had to fit a second earth because there are two 50 square millimeter or 0 gauge cables running to the setup for the 3 amps, and there was only one earth. That, oops, well, I've just dropped this. Yeah, that one from there to the chassis, that only 150 was the only earth. So now we're running another one from there all the way down to there. The paintwork was scraped off, so we have better contact to the chassis, and that should be now all good for competition standards and everything. The plan for the fans is that there's gonna be one there. You drill the hole underneath it, so it's gonna blow air, because once the sub box is on the top of the amp rack, it's all sealed. It's gonna blow the air down, because under the rack there's a good 2 inches. You can blow it through here to the spare wheel well, and then here on the side we fit another one, and that's gonna suck the air out and blow it out on the side, because we have space here over there. Those fans are monsters, coming from server houses, so hopefully that will help with the ventilation and the amp won't turn off if it's running crazy. Yeah, quite chunky big ones. So that's the plan. We have to feed those, wire them up, and then after that LED lights. I think then we are very, very close. Now we are onto the door cards. Yeah, for the first look it looks like it's fairly well done. Actually, I haven't even looked to the inside of the door to see what job they've done inside, but I can already see holes which were not covered. This hole, and there's another hole there which are not covered. That's fine, because there are locating pins on the door card which slide into there, but there's nothing sliding into there. Why is that not covered? Or like that hole where the speaker cable comes through, or above. You know, it's like, if they went so far, then why didn't they do those? That's the whole point, to cover the whole inner skin, to avoid any wave coming back from the speaker from the inside of the door. And then we knew that we had to redo the mounting of the speakers, because they are just screwed in with Phillips screws, whether you can see that. So it's definitely not a machine bolt with threaded inserts, as it should be done. So everything has to come out. Then at least I will also see what's inside of the door. Probably more surprises. Yeah, just another tiny thing. So now you are trying to pull this closed foam off, and then you see the adhesive on the rubber surround of the driver. I mean, it doesn't hurt the driver, but it's a Gladden Aerospace driver costing you know, a decent amount of money. So now if you ever wanted to sell this speaker, you have to do magic to clean that off, or not to ruin it when you clean it off, just because someone didn't really care about that last little detail to put that foam around without, you know, doing a mess. I cleared the ring off. It's nice and clean now, so when you mount the speaker, you know, it's not gonna get fogged by the sticky stuff of the, you know, of the deadening. Because now that driver is cosmetically ruined. You can't really put it back to factory state anymore. And then I fitted threaded inserts, and then you can use machine bolts So you can take these in and out as many times as you want. Yeah, obviously, once it's fitted properly, you shouldn't take it out. So wood screws do the job, but when it comes to, you know, craftsmanship and when you compete on the highest level, this is a must. And it doesn't take any longer. I mean, this took me 3 minutes and probably 7 minutes to recover after all the things I've seen. Yeah. Well, I thought that nothing else could come, and you may even hear on my voice that I'm getting very, very tired of seeing very painful mistakes. Oops. So at least the driver was now roughly cleaned up. Terminals, rust removed. It's gonna go in with the rain guard behind it, so it protects the driver from the moisture. But as I've taken the deadening off, I assumed that the speaker would just nicely sit in flush with the ring, but no. The diameter of the ring is 1 or 2 mil short, smaller, and the driver doesn't sit flush with the surface. It sticks out a few millimeters because of that, which was fine when the deadening was on it, because that was just enough. You can see that small lip around the basket, so that's around the depth of the deadening that was on it before, and it could sit flush-ish or so. Who knows now? So they couldn't even measure the diameter of the cutout properly. Beautiful. If you want to protect your driver in the door, then use this foam, rain guard foam we call it, but it's similar stuff that you see on PA speakers, outdoor PA speakers, which is transparent and it doesn't let any moisture to come through. We've cleaned the driver as much as possible on the back as well. It's a bit dark to see it, so it's gonna be bolted in with this foam, and then it protects it nicely. The driver is in. The rain guard was trimmed around. It also works as a sealant underneath the basket. No nasty stuff whatsoever, and now it protects the driver in the back from moisture and everything else. Yeah, door card time. You can come back. Here we are. After 2 days, 2 of us working in the car, so actually that's nearly 4 days work. Now everything is fine, everything is working. The list, all the items from the list are done, but still, I'm tired. I'm tired, and not because it was hard work. It was mentally painful to see so many schoolboy errors. And part of me would still just rip the whole install out and just do everything from scratch properly, because once you see schoolboy errors, you can kind of expect it everywhere. And that was the same thing. We pulled the door cards off. You've seen, you know, what happened to the speakers, how the speakers were mounted. I haven't had time to pull the grills off from the dash to check the mids. Yeah, the car still needs work. Like, the roof is not deadened, which was asked from the client when the car was installed, and it was there for many weeks, months, and few other things. We will see what happens with this car, but at the moment, at least now it's functional. There are no system noises, no alternator whines. Hopefully the amplifier shouldn't turn off now because of overheating. However, the fans are bloody loud. They are like wind turbines. So we will have to find quieter fans. Yeah, the Moscone DSP needs sorting out, because that's doing its tricky things. We will see what happens with that, whether Moscone stays or it gets changed to a Helix. We will see. It's not my choice. But yeah, I'm sure it's been painful for you to watch this video, but you know, I can't emphasize all the time, install is the key. 90% of the people wouldn't even see all these issues other than if you have system noises, but now you can see what can happen if I just don't see how it could happen really, because you know, this garage is one of the best in Europe, so who knows what happened there. So be careful who you ask to get your install done, or ask for documentation or daily updates. I give daily updates to my clients. They can tell that at the end of every day I send them a private video explaining what happened that day, showing them everything, all the steps. That's why I take pictures and I share them on my Facebook page, because I want everyone to see that this is why, you know, things take long, because it's done properly. If it's not done properly, you see the results. Yeah, I don't think I can say anything more. I need to relax tonight and probably for a few days to recover after this. But the good thing is the car has very good potential to be fantastic, actually, in OEM, considering we are using factory locations. Yeah, it's very, very good. We will see where it goes. So yeah, I'll finish the video here. I hope you've learned something from this video, guys, and yeah, let me know what you think. Take care.